So the last thing I want to talk about this week is the geometry concept of midpoint. So from your vocab charts, hopefully you saw that midpoint is the exact middle of a line segment. So this point M here is the midpoint. And if you notice, we're still going to write them as x1, y1, and x2, y2, okay? So to get to this midpoint, let's look at this example here. So if I see this here, this is -1, 7, and here is 5, 1. Well, I can visualize and see my right triangle again. Well, my total distance between let's start with my y's. Remember, up and down is your y's. Well, if I'm going from 7 to 1, this is 6, right? The total distance between my y's is 6. And the total distance between my x's is also 6. 6, right? Double count it and check it. Well, if I want to find the midpoint, remember the exact middle, I want to go halfway through. So what's half of 6 is 3, and then half of 3. So my midpoint is this 2, 4. This is the midpoint. So that's how we can find it from a graph. Or maybe it's not so easy to graph. Maybe it would be like 2.5, and we don't want to count out 2.5. So we can find the coordinates of the midpoint by using this midpoint formula here. So what it means is we take x1 and x2, add them together, divide it by 2, and then do the same thing for the y's. So how I remember this is a little bit different than the distance formula is midpoint, we're finding a location, where the distance formula, we're finding how far apart something is. So it'd be two very different values. So if I were to do this example, remember this is x1, y1, this is x2, y2, I should still get 2, 4 as my midpoint. So if I add these together, so add x2 plus x1 divided by 2, and then add my y's. So if we do this, 5 plus -1 is 4 divided by 2. 1 plus 7 is 8 divided by 2. So I should get 2, 4, which was the midpoint I found graphically. So let's do that here for these two examples. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So again, our midpoint formula is you add your x's divided by 2, add your y's divided by 2. So here, since we're adding, it doesn't matter what order we go in. So for the midpoint, it's going to be 3 plus 7 divided by 2, 5 plus -9 divided by 2. So 10 divided by 2, and -4 divided by 2. So that gives me 5, -2. That would be my midpoint. Or let's do this example. x1, y1, x2, y2. So I still like to label. So -4 plus 3, so I'm adding my x's, and 5 plus 7 divided by 2. Well, -4 plus 3 is -1, and 5 plus 7 is 12. Well, if you look at this here, -1/2, I don't want to write it as a decimal. I want you to leave it as a fraction. So -1/2, and then 12 divided by 2 is 6. That would be the midpoint. But if you did write it as a decimal, it'd be -0.5, 6. But I would prefer as a fraction. And it's just one less step you have to do. So that's how we can find a midpoint using the formula.